Welcome back to RainBro Crafts. Today we're going to make for you some of our warm vanilla brown sugar soap just in time for Valentine's Day. This fragrance oil is a duplicate of the Bath & Body Works fragrance oil, also called warm vanilla brown sugar. We're going to first start off the soap making process like we always do by blending in our lye water solution into our plant-based oil blend. Both of these are at about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. We'll blend those until they're emulsified completely. And now we're gonna sieve in our colloidal oatmeal slurry. This we're just gonna pass through a fine tooth strainer to get out any lumps and clumps that we weren't able to blend in with our whisk when we made this slurry. This is just colloidal oatmeal and water. This will give the bar soap a nice silky smooth feel when you use it. It also has some really nice skin properties for soothing skin. It's just a nice all-around additive. Actually, all of our soap recipes contain colloidal oatmeal by default. We even have an unscented bar that is just with colloidal oatmeal, so really good for babies or people that have sensitivities to fragrances. We're going to blend this up until it's at a light trace. We basically want it to be a little thicker than what we started out with, so kind of like a thin pancake batter. Next, we're going to add in our warm vanilla brown sugar fragrance oil, and then just a tiny bit of a coppery goldish color. The thing with this fragrance oil is since it has vanilla in it, it'll actually discolor to a darker brown once it's cut and it is exposed to air, so you'll actually see that here towards the end in the finished product. And then we're just going to blend that until it's all well incorporated. We also want it to thicken up quite a bit from the state it's currently at. We could pour it now, but it'll get some soda ash on top, so an ashy look, especially since we are making this when it's colder outside, it's colder in the house. That tends to happen. So we're going to stick blend this until it is a little bit thicker, so towards the consistency of maybe like a cake batter. This can take different amounts of time depending on the fragrance oil, the temperatures of everything, so your room, the oils, the lye water, how much you've already worked the batter before you get to this point. Now that that is at the consistency I want, we're going to pull over our slab mold and we're going to pour in our soap batter into this mold. Since we aren't going to be adding any other colors or any designs to the actual bar, we're done with this container, so we're going to scrape it out. We're going to get out as much of that soap batter as possible to make the cleanup process easy, but also to get as much soap into that slab mold as physically possible. So off screen, I just tapped this on the ground really quickly to get as many air bubbles out as possible. And then I also let it sit for like 30 seconds, maybe a minute, just to give it a little bit thicker of a consistency. I wanted to be able to put in these really organic randomized swoops into the top, if you will. So there wasn't really a plan. I just was kind of wanting to see where I was going with it, really. So my favorite saying is letting the spirit take me. How I was feeling was what I did. There isn't a plan. There's a lot of planning with soap making when you are needing to make your lye water solution, when you need to heat up the oils. You have to plan a month ahead, but this topping was really just random and kind of seeing what I felt like doing. I did plan, though, this final addition, which is large flake sea salt, rolled in some gold mica, so a shimmery gold and then a kind of antique-y gold, and you can see that kind of floating around there on the screen. We're going to go a little bit heavy-handed with that sea salt, just because whenever you're using botanicals in soap, or sea salt in this case, it does tend to fall off a little bit when you're cutting it, So you do want to add more than what you think you need. Obviously we don't want to cover up the whole top, but we want to do a little bit extra just to kind of plan for some of it falling off. So after 24 hours, we are ready to break down our slab into loaves. So like all of our soap that we make in these molds, we get 3 loaves out of each slab. So we're just gonna split those up here really quick. And you can kind of see here that the color has already started to change just a little bit. The longer this sits out, the darker color it'll be. So it's looking like a little bit like butterscotch right now, but it will discolor to a kind of dark brown sugar color. And now we're gonna do the most satisfying part of the soap making process, which is slicing it up. We get to finally see what our design looks like, what the consistency looks like. We even get a better idea of what the fragrance looks like, because sometimes fragrances do change as they kind of meld with the soap and kind of really settle in. We are just going to slice all of these into about 4.5 ounce size bars. We do let all of our soap cure for at least 30 days. And some of that 4.5 ounces does evaporate. Some water does leave your soap bars as you let them set out. And so the goal here is that each bar weighs at least 4 ounces. We also get some 2 ounce slices just based on the sizing and everything. And we actually sell those at in-person events as travel size bars. And that is how we make our warm vanilla brown sugar soap, which will be available for sale on our online store and at any in-person events we do February 1st. So definitely check that out if you are interested. Thanks again for stopping by and watching our video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and also share this with other people who might be interested in how RainBro Crafts makes their soap.